What's up, what's up? Kelley Allen, reality television casting director in the building, and I am a guest on FaceTime with Todd Wharton. Check us out.
Previously on Growing Up Mop Top.
You know, I think it's time for me to tell my story on how I grew up on the streets. 32nd Street, that is. People always knew when I was on the stoop to get the step. I had the sickest walk on the block, but nobody knew I broke my toe during ballet.
Yo, check out homeboy.
Yeah, that's right, dog. Everybody knows me up in the streets. I got the man hookup. Check out my ride behind me. Even the car dealerships gave me half off. Literally. Fellas respected me. And women loved me. Bonjour, mademoiselle. Oui, oui, baby. Yeah, wait till I introduce you to my family. Mop top for life, son. You heard? We'll be right back with Kelley Allen. Welcome back to the show, everyone. So my guest tonight is the CEO and founder of Girl Gang Casting. She's also the supervising casting director of many of the reality shows that we have grown to love. But you know what? Let's take a look at a clip. Please welcome to the show, Kelley Allen.
What's up? Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for being on the show. And seriously, thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule, because I saw what you're doing right now. And reality TV is no joke. So we're going to jump right into it. How did you even get involved in reality TV? Because I just interviewed Cynthia Bailey of the Atlanta Housewives, and she told me her story. But I want to hear from a casting director. How do you get involved with this?
Sure. Well, you know, it's one of those random kind of odd jobs. Like, you don't go to college to be a reality casting director. So you kind of just have to fall into it. And for me, that's what happened. I grew up in LA, so I feel like I was always kind of, in the industry. I did a little bit of like kid kind of acting work. Did some little stints on like the Wonder Years and the Jamie Foxx show and the Steve Harvey show and the movie Friday and Toys with Robin Williams and Devil in a Blue Dress with Denzel and a bunch of little things when I was younger. Fell out of that, kind of preteen, and then got scouted right out of high school to do like music videos. And I was kind of like a video vixen for a minute. And I was like, this is god awful. Like, I'm not bringing my bathing suit to another freaking audition. I'm over it. And I asked the guys that would always book me, like, I want to do what you do, like behind the scenes, like
right.
casting.
Right.
And I'm like, you're creepy. Like, I'm a girl. The girls will be more comfortable with me, so let's do this. So essentially, that's kind of what happened. I started doing some music video casting for some of the bigger artists at the time. Mm-hmm. And, but the dudes that I was working for never paid me. And you see how my bank account is set up, that ain't gonna work. So, So I kind of made an exit, landed into some random other jobs that I did throughout the years. And I was talking to a girl at an event. We were like brand ambassadors, and she's telling me about reality casting and that she's a reality casting director. And I'm like, oh, well, I did casting for music videos. And she's like, your energy is great. Like, you should come and meet my boss. Like, we need another person on our team. Are you down? I'm like, totally down. So I go to the interview and like, I get the job like on the spot, and it was for Playboy TV. So my first ever casting in the reality space was interviewing people butt naked in person. I'm sure there's all kind of rules about that now. And I basically hid behind my laptop, while everybody got naked. And I felt like I got jumped right into the gang, like, whoa, right? And in reality casting, you're only as good as your last gig. Like, if you killed it, you're going to get referred. They're going to want to hire you again. And that's essentially what happened all those years ago. I killed it. And then my boss referred me to like MTV. And then from that job, I didn't like it literally just has not stopped and has only progressed and grown. So I've been very blessed, but I totally just kind of rolled into it.
So so you started out as casting asses, and now you work. I mean, that's actually an amazing story because you're probably one of the rarities that's kind of gone through that. You went from that to where you are now, which is really successful. And I actually want to hit on a question, and I know it's big with you. You're looking to pretty much disrupt the game on how women are being looked at and worked with and casted in the entertainment industry. And I think that falls right into what you were talking about before, how people gave you jobs, but they didn't pay you and that didn't affect your bank account. And there are a lot of creeps out there, women and men, especially more men, because it's coming out more a lot in lawsuits. So guys, be careful. Tell me about that, because I work with a lot of women empowerment. I'm a humanitarian. I run New York City's Global Humanitarian Awards, which you're going to hear about soon. Tell me about that. That's a big, big subject I want to hit on.
Yeah, I mean, I've always had like my talents back, whether female or male, I've always been a very like honest kind of like, I don't mind, confrontations if I have to like stand up for somebody or, check somebody like, yo, don't do that or don't treat her like that. Like I've always kind of been like that type of person. So it just naturally leaked into my business motto and like the industry that I'm in. But furthermore, like in casting specifically, for years, there weren't a whole lot of people that looked like me or the people in my family that worked in casting. Like, right. It was very kind of a handful of us. And whenever there was an urban project, it's like, call Kelley, like get the Black girl on the Black project, which is
right. Great. I get that all the time. I mean, call Black project, call them.
And I'm like, listen, thank you. Like, give them all to me. But at the same token, now that there's sort of this need for casting, associates and assistants and producers of color, there weren't really many to like pull from just because there hadn't been any opportunities for them to enter the industry. And so I had some girls that had transitioned, some transitioned from like working on set, like as PAs and things like that, and was interested in the casting component. Others that just kind of fell into it, right, through, word of mouth or whatever. And I just kind of found them being a little stuck and confused, and they'd get offered projects and to work on a project, but like the amount of money they were being offered to work, I knew was unfair, and I knew was not what someone else would be making. And so I kind of like took them under my wing and was like, no, you negotiate your rate. This is how you have to do this. This is like, so I have this group of girls that are just amazing, and they're from all walks of life. It isn't just about women of color. It's about women of every color. And, I always say this, like, don't get like boys. I love you guys too. Like, it's all good. Like there's some homies that like we work together. I hire them on gigs. They hire me on gigs. It's all good. But I wanted to have something that was just for the girls, that really, where I could like protect my girls and have their backs and teach them how to properly negotiate a rate, but also teach them what they need to learn to move up in this industry so that they won't just stay a casting assistant or a casting recruiter. Like, let me give you the tools in the event that you are like ready to excel and move up to become a casting producer or a casting director. So I've kind of taken them like, under my wing a bit. And I'm actually proud of that. Like they're my babies and I love having their backs. So, in every component though, but even on the other side of the camera, I definitely have had to speak up for my girls and for people in general. And look, I'm the one. Like people are like, oh, I'm not the one. I am the one. I will very much so call you right out. I will let an executive know if he is being unfair or racist or whatever. Like I have no filter and I will let your ass know all day. Like you're not going to do this in front of me. So that's a whole nother thing about Kelley, like Kelley from the hood. So if Kelley has to bring that out.
Los Angeles hood, right?
Yeah, East LA. Yeah, the East LA hood. So I actually My family was like the only Black family in a very Mexican, like gang-ridden neighborhood. But like we survived. We survived.
You didn't walk around like, what up, blood? You weren't.
Well, yeah, no, we were more like, what up, SA? Like it was like Cholo and Cholas, like not really like Crips and Bloods. Like that was on the west side.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I got my homies, the OGs, from the hood. They still got my back. Shout out to them.
Yeah, the only thing I know about East LA is when I watched Cheech and Chong Born in East LA. That's pretty much how I studied.
Yeah, it was a little bit of that, but definitely that, drive-by shooting and tagging on the walls and little local taquerias. You go get your tacos at like midnight, or like the fruit with the chili. Like we've been doing all that shit. So
it sounds like we got a little Spanish in your background. Do we have that?
No, I'm telling you, I'm all Black, and so is my family. But I grew up in the barrio, so I know how to. You gotta. You can pass for a lot, girl. Like. You could be on White Chicks. You could be on a Spanish movie. you can pass for a sister. Yeah. Nobody knows what I am, which is great. So it all depends on my mood. But I can order some food and stuff in Spanish. Kind of play it off a little bit. Right. I definitely have used the little bit of Spanish I know to my advantage. Like if somebody's like trying to hit on me, that is hopefully not Latino, and I'm like, oh, you know, habla inglés, and then they believe it. So I've used that.
Yeah, hopefully I'll never get to that point where somebody does that to me, because I think my pride would go from here all the way down. Like, damn, man, she really didn't like me that much that she did it in another language. What kind of crap is that? Just say no. You got to do it in another language? Wow, that's just, it's just let you guys know, if a girl disses you or puts you aside in another language, take the hint. It doesn't mean that she wants you to try harder. It means I will tell you to leave me alone in another 5 languages if you keep coming after me.
Exactly.
That's it.
I randomly took German in high school just because I was like trying to be cool and different. So I can also like curse you out in German if I need to. So
yeah, when I'm never gonna get there with you. I'm just letting you know right now. I'm straight up Todd, and that's it. I'm glad that you brought up that subject because I work with a lot of women, and women are stereotyped every day. They're downplayed. I love the fact when Mark Wahlberg in his movie found out, I believe Miss Williams was making less than him, and he went out of his way and said, hey, no, we're getting paid equal. And there should be a lot more men in Hollywood coming out like that. And like before you guys sign your contract, see who your co-star is and be like, oh, that's my co-star. What is she getting paid? She's getting less than me? No. If you want me to work with her, let's get paid equal, because even though I'm maybe more known as a male star, what if she kills that role and gets an Oscar for it? But at the end of the day, you're a guy and you're making more money than the Oscar winner. Does that even sound fair? So I think there should be more equal opportunity when it comes to pay in the roles, because I don't know one film where a male role now is more dominating unless the role itself is based on that role. Right?
No, totally. And I mean, not to be all like feminist for a moment, but like real life, do you know how much it costs to maintain being a freaking woman? It is not cheap. Like from the head to the toes. You know what I'm saying? Like we should be getting paid more than men just to keep up with our damn nails. You know how much nails cost nowadays?
Yeah.
This is like every other week situation, okay? Let alone the rest of the grooming and the hair. I mean, it's a lot. It's just a lot. So we demand more.
I woke up like this.
Yeah, right. So, yes.
I agree with you 100%. So in every contract now should add salons, all that stuff. You want to know something? I agree with you, because one of the things that I've noticed when people go on dates in general, if you're going on a first date, a woman always gets all dolled up, right? Because she's looking to look good, impressed. You ever notice a lot of guys don't? And it's like, hey guys, if you're going out with this girl, you should get as dolled up as much as she is, because your job is to compliment her. Now in Hollywood, if you're going to cast a woman, understand that she's going to come with her A game. That A game costs money. All right. So you want her to look the way you casted her in the first place, you better pay her the dollars to make sure she shows up on set every day. Because if you want her to drink Starbucks, but you're giving her Dunkin' Donut money, you're going to get a Dunkin' Donut actress. I'm just
very true.
Putting it right there. So
very true, Todd. I like your vision on this. I like it.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm all about metaphors, and people get like, yeah, me too. Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts and that. That was all right. I like that. I see that. Now, let's talk about your logo behind you, because it's got a powerful message to it, right? Girl Gang Casting. Very cool name. Tell me about how you came up with that name. I'm sure you spoke about it before. I don't know, but I would love to hear about it and the power behind it.
No, I love this story. So, Girl Gang, again, I grew up in this like neighborhood, right? Where like gangs were kind of everywhere. And, and there was a lot of unfortunate situations that came from growing up in an area like that and being around the gangs and losing friends, that were in said gangs and things like that. So as I developed the name of the company, I was kind of thinking, I was like, for one, I wanted it to feel, like I said, like it was me and my girls, like I got their back, they got mine. And it is kind of like a little gang, but I wanted to kind of take the word gang from where I come from and put like that positive sort of spin on it. Like, you no longer have the power because you've taken friends from me, and there are people in jail because of you, and these things that have been a result of being like in a gang. But I'm going to flip that and bring power to that and bring something positive out of that. And so, as simplistic as it is, it was just something that really just kind of spoke to me and was like, this is actually like the perfect meaning for me to like launch this name, because the company name is a level of like Kelley casting that I've had for years. But I was like, you know what, I'm going to form a DBA called Girl Gang, and like to rep my girls and like my gang, and like that's like it's us, you know what I mean? So that was the real reasoning behind it. I just wanted to put like a positive spin on something that really was kind of negative, growing up and stuff. So
yeah, and I love that, because a lot of great movements, a lot of great companies today use their past history to flip it into a positive attribute of what they did growing up. Like, for example, the group NWA. People may not agree with the name, but they took that name, they sung the truth, but they turned a huge movement where it brought white and blacks together into a positive aspect of music. You may not like the words, but think about what they did to flip it. And it's kind of hard to compare the two, but it's in the same realm of, I like the inspiration behind the story. Very, very cool. I love that. Relationships right now are just absolutely insane. You're not seeing a lot of fiduciary relationships anymore. I think because everybody wants the next best thing, not realizing that the best thing has always been in front of your face. Was this kind of a personal gig for you to take on as a woman? Because I think women go through a lot of hardship when it comes to a relationship, because guys, we're stupid and we go through heartache, but I think women really have to go through the weeds to get to the real man that treats them good. Was this like a passionate project for you to get involved in and work on?
To be honest, Todd, no. I thank God I have been blessed to not have had to deal with too many like shitholes of men. But I am very aware. I am aware of what's out there, right? We had no idea that it was going to turn into this thing and be like #1 on Netflix, and like everybody's talking about it. And I think even like Kim Kardashian posted about it, like it being her new obsession. So it definitely formed itself because it is real. Like the situation that those couples were in, that was all real. None of that was fake or produced. So seeing it all play out and the way it did was like, oh, damn. damn, like this is good. So like I mentioned, it was a team. Like I was one of the casting directors on the project. We had a pretty big team for that. And so everyone killed it, did an amazing job. And, the success of that has just been fantastic. So we are very grateful. And, we're definitely looking forward for multiple seasons to come, hopefully.
Yeah, and it's so great that you're on Netflix because social media right now, especially Netflix and Hulu and all the streaming platforms, they are really opening up a new world when it comes to TV shows, movies. I mean, everything that's coming out today, it's in the theaters, but it's also got to deal with one of the streaming platforms. And the best thing is, I think your residuals are going to get better because once it's on that certain, like a Netflix, if it does well, I think they'll keep it on there forever. And it allows people now to Google it or go through Netflix and search, which is great for you. And even though you're a casting director, you got a full-time job going on with everything else that you're casting for. Now you do have some projects in the works right now, correct? Besides doing this, is there anything that you can talk about that you don't have an NDA that you can't tell on FaceTime with Todd Wharton?
There's always, a parameter, right, of things I can talk about. So just to let the people that are listening or watching knows. So a couple of other shows that are currently airing that I was the casting director on is HBO Max's Sweet Life. Nice. And that was a collaboration with Issa Rae Productions and HBO Max. And that show is so sweet and just like, I love casting that, me and the team that we worked on. And they're actually they got picked up for a season 2. So that's exciting. And then there's another one that's airing currently on the CW network called March. Mm-hmm. And it's a docu-follow with the Prairie View A&M marching band, the Marching Storm down in Houston. Yep. So that one's really cool, kind of wholehearted, seeing the ins and outs of what it takes to be in a hardcore marching band. Like those kids freaking work, man. Oh, yeah. Like hats off to those kids. Like I had the pleasure of going to see them perform, and I mean the outfits, the dance steps, the like working the instruments, carrying those instruments, like, oh, you guys are awesome. So those are just 3 things that are actually airing. So currently I am working on a college age docuseries. So we're looking for college girls, groups of 4 to 5, like friends or roommates in the LA, Chicago, or Dallas area that are currently in college. And essentially we're going to build a show around them. So they literally will star on their own show. It just sucks because it's midterms and everybody's freaking busy right now. So that's what we're currently, me and my company is currently working on that one.
That's very cool. Right? And I love to hear that you're busy. I tell a lot of people in the industry that I'm so glad to hear you guys are working. You're getting a lot more gay. I think things are exploding right now because people are just thirsty. People just want to get out of their bed and just do anything at this point. And I think a lot of the smart writers during COVID, I think, have been creating some amazing content. And now these streaming platforms are just, come on, bring it. Bring on some more content. Like everybody's home now. And I think it's over 50% of the country right now is out of their offices. So I know me, when I'm home editing, I got the TV on my right, so I use it as background. So I could be watching the Avengers while I'm editing this interview, right? So there's a lot of great possibilities to that. Now, I haven't read it yet because obviously it's coming out. You're putting a book together, which is really cool, called The Casting Diary. Now, you hear the word diary, we're going to hear some secrets. I have to assume. What most people know about is this sort of your homage to giving back to women, especially on how to get into the industry and just kill it, or is it
not at all?
I'm big in right now.
Todd. Actually, it's literally a little piece of like my casting diary, like some of the extreme types that I've interviewed over the years. As a casting director, I have had the amazing opportunity to talk to people from all different walks of life, from like, I'm talking so rich that they don't talk to their family members rich, to like missing teeth and everything in between, right? And during a certain era of my casting like world, like work information and like resume, I interviewed some really, really interesting people. So like my first chapter is my interview with a real vampire, because I have actually interviewed. Oh, he lives in New York, by the way. Watch your back. Watch your neck.
Why's it got to be New York? Listen, you're all about Friday the 13th. All right, that's this. All right, we're going to get into this right now. Okay. Interview with the Vampire, starring Kelley Allen.
Yes.
Yeah, get away. Tell me about the interview. I'll be a Christian Slater right now.
I mean, so this guy, I mean, he was just so fantastic. And like, he literally kind of embodied what you would think of when you're thinking of like kind of a hot vampire, right? Like he kind of had like the dark hair that slicked back, and he wore like this cool kind of velvet like coat, and he slept in a coffin. So I had to wait until after hours, or after the sun went down, to interview him, because he doesn't come out when the sun is up. I mean, he was fully in character. Like, it was fantastic. And he was amazing. So that's just like kind of the intro to the book. But the book has a combination of 7 chapters, and each chapter is dedicated to something kind of different and special, and maybe someone that you wouldn't have the opportunity to sit down and have a conversation with, you know, like an adult baby, and or a dominatrix, or someone that believes in like puppy play. And if you don't know what these things are, you can totally Google them. They're fetishes for the most part. But really being able to like sit down and ask these people questions and get to know why they love this lifestyle, why, you know, they're a part of this lifestyle. It was just such an amazing turn of events. Like, you know, when would you sit down and talk to some of these people? Like, and here I am, the casting director. So I can ask you anything. I can ask you anything, pretty much, right? Mm. So it's just amazing. So the book is actually dedicated to some of the types that I've met and had the pleasure of interviewing over the years that are just non-conventional. And I think the underlining message of the book is that you should not judge a book by its cover. And even if someone is into something that you can't really understand, it ain't none of your damn business. So, you know, so there's sort of like the overall message is of that, but you will read in detail how I found this person, what it was like when we first got, you know, on FaceTime or Skype with each other, what the conversation was like, etc. So very interesting interviews in the casting diary.
I'm hoping, I'll be honest with you, I'm hoping this type of book becomes like a New York Times #1 bestseller, because everything that you're saying, I'm picturing you literally sitting in a room interviewing the weirdest people in the world. And I would love to see this like a series, something really cool. Like, you know, they did that actors workshop with what's his name, the older gentleman with the beard. He used to interview all the celebrities in front of an audience. You have something really cool that's interesting. That would be dope if I saw like you interview a real vampire or somebody this, just crazy stuff, and get into their heads. I think people would be intrigued about that. I think it would be great. Hey, you never know. I may see your face at the next Hammond Hall. You never know.
Never know.
Weird-ass people.
You never know.
I love it.
But I really, like I said, I think, you know, even with everyone else being like, oh my God, that's weird, or that's different, or whatever, it's like, I vibed with all of these people. And this is just sort of the first, you know, edition. Like, I have many more stories. I just wanted to do like something like an easy read for the first volume. But, you know, I think the biggest thing was that like, I treated everyone so like, it didn't matter if you're a vampire or if you're the richest guy in New York, like I treat you the same. And I think that's why we had a, you know, like a good respect factor, you know, like I didn't treat them like they were odd, because to me, who am I to say that you're odd? You might think I'm odd, right? You know? So I liked being able to talk to them, and then being comfortable enough to share their stories with me and to open up to me, and to not feel like I just wanted to, you know, use them or make fun of them or anything like that. So that was also important. And of course, I changed everyone's name in the book for privacy reasons. But
no, it's intriguing. And I love different stories. I think a lot of people do. And the ones that don't want to hear things that aren't normal, I mean, what is normal? Normal is what humans as defined back in the day. And we still go through it to this day where, hey guys, maybe it's time to update the Constitution or update this or update that, move with the times, right? I'm only saying that Roe versus Wade, yeah, whatever. I don't know why that happened. But I think people mock what they don't understand.
Absolutely.
And that's the biggest gripe I have with people. It's not about you accepting it. It just means just go with it. Like, if you're not a transgender, deal with it. They're human, right? If you're not gay, deal with it. If you feel you're not the prettiest person in the world or the greatest person in the world, deal with it. You know, it's just deal with it. This is life. And who wants to live in Pleasantville, right? I want to live where people are different. Like, I don't know if I can live with a vampire, you know, because that kind of freaked me out. I'll be cool with him. Like during Halloween, dude, you're my date. Like, come on. Like, me and this guy would just go out, be like, that's your date. I'll be like, listen, I'm not gay, but this is my man for the night. Because man, mess with me. I got a vampire on my side.
Yeah, he's legit. Yeah.
You know, I'm just saying that's my bodyguard right there. All right. But I think that's the issue with the world is people mock what they don't understand. But when they definitely get intrigued by it, they're like, oh, wow, this person's really cool. Like, this person likes McDonald's like I do. Yeah, dude. Do the same thing. They're human. I do want to touch on one more subject, though. I don't know if anybody's ever asked you this. A lot of celebrities go through, I'm starting to get a little, and I'm not a celebrity, I'm just a business guy that work hard, where when you start becoming a known person for what you love to do, they find it harder to know who to trust and who are their real friends, who's not hitting on them, who's trying to get to them for certain things, blah, 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 blah. You're in a position, I don't think people realize that you have a lot of power, right? You cast actors where if you don't cast them, they don't get a role and they don't get a paycheck. So you have a power that I don't think people understand. Yeah. You find yourself every single day, friends of yours, just wanting you to cast them and stuff. People you don't even know, DMing you on Facebook like they've known you for a long time. And you're like, dude, I met you like for 2 minutes. And that was it. Like, we're not boys, we're not friends, we're not girls. How is the struggle that you have right now to predict who are your friends, who are your family, and are you going through this on a daily basis?
You know, it's not so bad. I think the difference too, because, you know, most of what I do is reality based, and it's just as simple as like, if I need you, I'm going to find you. Like, right. You don't need to like fill up my inbox with your resume or your voiceover reel. Like, I'm not going to look at that or listen to it. Because when we work on these projects, we know exactly what we're looking for and we go after that target. So I don't get it so much. Like, I think if I did more scripted stuff, people would be like, oh my God, please. And my kid is cute. Now, don't get me wrong. Do I get at least 2 a week? Yeah. DMs and like, how do I get my kid an agent, or like just looking for help? Yeah, you know, a lot of people want my advice about getting representation, especially for their kids. Right. So I give them kind of the general, like, generic statement that that I can give that makes sense, so that they don't get like hustled or like taken for money. But you know, I've definitely had to let some people know, like, and in the family too. I got a big ass family, like ridiculously big. So they just assume that like there's like a role for them on something, and I'm like, it don't work like that. You know what I'm saying? So I do have to let them know to like, calm it down. If I need you, I will find you. But I use that same sort of attitude towards like strangers. So for the most part, you know, I have a casting Instagram, and people will, you know, Instagram, you know, DM me questions and things. And for the most part, if I don't have time, I just don't even look at it. If I do have time, I will try to give them some valuable information. But you like bribing me to like put you on something or whatever, no, it ain't gonna work. So I have no problem being like blunt about that.
Well, I'm glad you answered that, because you're actually the first person I've asked that in casting, and I'm sure you go through it all the time. I mean, casting is obviously a hard enough job as it is, right? Finding the right person. You said you've done scripted before. Do you find it easier to do reality shows compared to scripting, or is it the opposite?
Well, scripted is to me is always easier because there's always a pool to choose from. Like, if you're looking for an actor in LA, I mean, there's a plethora of agencies. You tell them what you want and they're just going to send you candidates. You can have candidates in self-tapes. And so I remember I did a Coca-Cola commercial and I put up a ad on like LA Casting and I had like thousands of submissions in the matter of like 2 hours. And I had to like shut it down because it was like too many.
Yeah.
So I feel like easier in that sense, of course. Reality is just more tricky because we get the basics of like whatever the executives think they want, right? Like, oh, we want this, and that. And you're like, got it. And then you go off and you start to like, gather these types and interview these people. And now they've changed their mind about what they want. And now you go back and you pull. And then it's like, well, can we get a girl that has like maybe a prosthetic leg, but she was in the war? And you're like, yo, y'all are bugging. So sometimes I have to like bring them down to reality too, of like, this is an art. Like what we do in casting is an art. We have to find a person, interview them.
That's right.
That they have the right personality, get the right personality out of them, and then sell them to the network and to the executives. So it's, it's not easy by any means, which is why it's such a specific little genre, like within the industry, like the people that do what I do, it's such a like specific type of job and talent that I challenge people all the time. Like, oh, I could do that. Do it. I'll wait. I'll hold my breath and die. Like, it's actually really fucking hard. So.
I love that you put it in that perspective. And I'll be honest with you. I could talk to you forever. You hit a lot of great points. I think a lot of people need to know about casting. And first of all, congratulations on the show, on The Ultimatum, and your career so far. You've done a lot of amazing shows. I think your hustle, your grind, your honesty, and your personality alone, I think it's what's gotten you here today. And I see you for the next 30, 40 years casting so many other great shows. And I got a feeling you're going to be casting some Oscar movies in the future based on how you work. I think a lot of directors look for people like you. I know if I ever have an event or anything, you're going to be on my list of casting. I'm going to tell you that right now. Yeah, of course. Kelley, thank you. Thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for being on FaceTime with Todd Wharton. I really appreciate you.
Yes, thank you guys. And anybody interested, you can follow at Girl Gang Casting on Instagram. I post casting calls. I post information that might be helpful to you. And of course, that's where I post everything that I'm working on. So it's a good resource for me and for others that are interested in the industry and want to kind of get involved. But thank you. Thanks for having me on FaceTime with Todd Wharton.
My pleasure, and we'll have you back. Well, stay warm in LA while I'm still freezing in New York, and we'll get to speak soon, all right?
Will do. Thanks.
So, Kelley, first and foremost, thanks for being a guest on FaceTime with Todd Wharton. I think we've learned a lot from the casting industry, and congratulations, even though you're still a young lady, you have developed such an amazing career, and I think you're a mentor for not only women, for men to get into this sort of field, because I think you're knocking it out of the park, and I'm looking forward to many, many more projects that you're going to be working on, and I definitely see an Oscar movie for you in the future. So guys, definitely check this girl out. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and until the next time, if you're not living a passionate life, then whose life are you living? Take care, everyone. I'll see you soon.
He is the most interesting man in the world.
I'm not always on YouTube, but when I am, I make sure I'm subscribed to FaceTime with Todd Wharton. Be thirsty, my friends.